Evening, everyone, and hopefully everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend. And of course, there was a great Memorial Day weekend of arena football here on Football Arena Frontier here on Gateway Sports. We're getting close to playoff part of the National Arena League. The Arena League is about to start their season now with 8 teams. The Indoor Football League is a little bit halfway through, but we see some standards to see how the playoff picture will go. Not to mention, there's been announcement for a couple of teams being announced for the Indoor Football League next year in 2027. We also got the Arena Football one keep going with their momentum. Excuse me. Then, of course, the nothing happening on the American Arena League level since they had a bye. But then also with the International Arena League with a questioning little bit deal, though they seem to be keeping on pushing through here on this 2026 season. So we'll see if it still lasts. But they had an interesting decision on what they're going to do, which we'll get in a little bit here. But let's start with the National Arena League here with their games here. And pretty much first game, perfect blowout. Kind of obviously you have basically the best team in the National Arena League, the Southwest Kansas Storm, beat one of the weakest teams of the league, which was the Louisiana Rubaru, and it was not even close. No, and like they shut out the Rubaru in the first half, and they they did get scored in the second half, but only 13 points, and the Southwest Kansas Storm beats Louisiana Rubaru 49-13 here, and yeah, so Rubaru is kind of like they need to. I kind of thought they would improve from last year, but they've just gotten worse. So they need to either try to improve it for 5 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the only scoring was from on the quarterback's own legs. Like besides him, the running back Dejon Richard had like 9 attempts for 25 yards rushing, and the only uh, positive for wide receiving was Quintonovan Taylor, one reception for 40 yards, and then two kick returns for 24 kick return yards. So not a great day on the offensive side. Then again, also the defensive side. The best one was defensive Conte Chavez for 3 tackles and 2 assists, 2 attacks, sorry. Yeah, that was just it. It wasn't even close. And on the Southwest Kansas Storm side, Trey Self, 9 through 12, 72 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, run rushing attempt for 7 yards. Then running back Jane Sutton, 2 attempts for 9 yards and a touchdown, and one reception for 9 yards and a touchdown. Then their other running back, the one that actually did more of the work, Austin Bacher, 12 attempts, 43 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Demarius Washington, 2 receptions, 22 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Mason Pierce, 6 receptions, 41 yards, then 2 attempts for 11 yards on a rushing TD. Then best defensive performance, Shaquille Brown, 3 tackles, 3 attacks, 1 interception, and got that interception return for a touchdown. So, like I said, the best versus the worst, and you just get what is the most obvious outcome. Second one was basically a tune-up game, the Armor Warbirds, and there was no stats because for some reason for out league games they don't even bother to provide stats. This was a blowout. The Marvel Warbirds beat the Phantoms. The Colorado Springs gets the Omaha Beef, and Beef are coming back from after like I would say from a tremendous dumpster fire to slowly coming back, and they're still in the playoff hunt, and then beat one of the more lower high tier teams with the Colorado Spartans, which also has a going into playoffs. Well, the Omaha Beef in a close game beat the Spartans 30-27, and this was basically a comeback game because like they had the lead, they shut them out in the third quarter. Then the Omaha Beef just shut out the Colorado Spartans and scored 16 in order to come back and beat the Colorado Spartans. So kind of interesting how just a few weeks ago that the Omaha Beef was basically the laughing stock of the National Arena League. Now they're becoming an underdog team, which, let's be clear, they were in the championship game last year. They fired the coach, hired someone new. So now it's interesting how their season ends. Do they actually get back to the championship, or will it come to an end probably in the first round of playoffs if they do go into the playoffs? Because we still have one more week. So that's going to be an interesting question here within the National Arena League. Colorado quarterback Javon Kilgo, 14 to 31, 168 yards, four touchdowns, an interception, one rushing attempt for 13 yards. Wide receiver Stephen Newbold, four receptions, 77 yards, and two TDs, four returns for 94 kick return yards. Wide receiver Bryn Mitchell, two receptions, 5 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Bezit Woodley, two receptions, 17 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, defensive back Dylan Thomas, seven tackles, one attack, and two forced fumbles. Omaha Beef quarterback Vincent Espinoza, five through eight, 65 yards, two touchdowns, 8 attempts, 59 yards, and a rushing TD. Running back David Ross, three attempts, 19 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver, and somehow they also have him as quarterback on their stats. Ivan Corbin, three receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Devarnia Coughlin, one reception, 17 yards, and a touchdown. One attempt for I believe sorry about that. Believe that's a former Battle Hawk. Two tackles, one attack, one sack, and one pass defense. Then the final game, this was just a slacking. The Salina Liberty beat the Sioux City Bandits 39 to 11. I don't know what happened with the Sioux City Bandits. They were just doing so well that it just got all the way down. Weird, isn't it? And the Salina Liberty beat the Sioux City Bandits 39-11 at Selena's home arena. Sioux City quarterback Lorenzo Brown, 7 through 25, 63 yards, a touchdown, four INTs. That's another reason their defense just caused turnovers. Four attempts, -1 yards. Running back Drew Proscott, five attempts, 33 yards, two receptions for 28 yards. Wide receiver Jaden Johnson, three receptions, 26 yards, and a touchdown. And then on defense, defensive back LeJohn Vaughn McCoy, four tackles, one attack, two interceptions, one pass defense. That was the only good positive for Sioux City right there. Then for Salina, quarterback Trey Adams, 9 through 16, 98 yards, three touchdowns, two interceptions, five attempts, 36 yards, and three rushing TDs. Running back Tracy Brooks, 9 attempts, 43 yards, seven receptions, 55 yards, and two TDs. Wide receiver Kayvon Samuels, one reception, 30 yards and a touchdown, six rushing attempts for 41 yards, and two kick returns for 34 return yards. And best defensive performance, defensive back Dion Colin, two tackles, three attacks, one fumble return, two interceptions, and a pass defense. He had a day. He had a day. Then get to going through the standings here once again. Of course, for some reason on the website, like it's updated, it just that for some odd reason they still have the Dallas Bulls on their standings, at least on this thing with the standings here. So as of right now, Amarillo and Louisiana are eliminated from the playoffs, and Omaha and Beef and the Colorado Spartans actually kind of tie at the moment, record wise. So right now, I guess it's just going to be for seeding here. The only one closest is Sioux City, which are 5-4. Then Salina and Pablo Punishers are tied 6-3, and Southwest Kansas Storm just has home field advantage throughout the playoffs unless they get eliminated, which could happen. So right now, that's how it is in the National Arena League. No new news on many teams as of yet. So, but we do have that with the Indoor Football League, and it came to through Yahoo Sports through an interview that one of the there's going to be an expansion franchise, and it's actually I'm surprised it took this long. And for the IFL here, they're going to have it in Austin, Texas. So, College Town, also, let's be clear, Texas. So this is going to be kind of interesting because I know there are rumors of maybe UFL could put a team in Austin, Texas, or move it in the future, depending on how Houston and the Dallas teams does in the future. But it's kind of a good thing that they're doing that first, because now for San Antonio is going to have a good in-state rivalry and close. Well, maybe not technically close. Texas, boy, traveling through there, that's still a long drive because how big Texas is. So that's going to be quite interesting how that rivalry is going to go. And I doubt they're going because you can't really do anything bowl wise or anything because of the Longhorn. So I doubt, pretty sure they're going to stay out of that, and definitely stay away from the colors of burnt orange. Because unlike you're from a team like for a city like from Pittsburgh where all your teams pretty much have the same colors, I doubt there's going to be that type of relationship. So it'll be interesting there. And then it also looks like there's going to be a team in Athens, Georgia, which it looks like one of the owners of that team is actually going to be Hall of Fame running back of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jerome the Bus Bettis. So he's actually one of my favorite players outside when I rooted for the St. Louis Rams at the time. And I actually did like he was a good power back. So, and of course, that when he did that when winning the Super Bowl before he retired type deal. So that was kind of fun. So it's interesting to see how he does as an owner. So, like he did say in an interview, he's going to be there, but he's not going to like overstep. So that's good because he's a player like he ain't gonna go like come on the field like Marshawn Lynch did for Bayer Panthers, which also is a questioner because there's a rumor going around and it's possible that another team that could come, it's not confirmed yet, but in the San Jose area, and to be clear, I keep forgetting how big the Bay Area is in California because it's Oakland, San Francisco, and San Jose. And it looks like there's a chance that the Bay Area Panthers will come back but play in San Jose instead of where they were before. So that's a rumor so far that has. So it's going to be interesting how that goes. And then I think there was another rumor of another team, but in the Northeast, which is kind of surprising due to how they left Connecticut and that the Pirates, especially how that was said by the commissioner when they left. So we'll see. So there needs to be more arena teams in the Northeast, which I do agree. So sorry about that again. Weather with that with connections here. So continuing forward here. So it's going to be interesting how this goes up here and ownership. Because now it looks like there's a possibility of four teams coming in the 2027 season. So that does even stuff up. And well, technically it would be three new teams and one team that comes back as well. Ugh. All right, let's get into the Week 11 games for the IFL. They're about a little bit over halfway done, and their standings will kind of interesting. I haven't put anything on playoffs yet, but I could probably tell who's probably eliminated. Though, if some teams do a certain run, they could make it, but I doubt it. First game, the Jacksonville Sharks beat the Iowa Born Stormers, which isn't surprising. What was surprising is how close it was. The Iowa Barnstormers finally decided to play well. So now the Sharks, like, they had to do they had to like stop it a little because the Iowa Barnstormers almost made a comeback within the third quarter, but then stopped them and beat them by 12 points, 60-48. So it's great that they're finally showing some fight, but it's just a little bit too late, in my humble opinion. So once again, Jacksonville Sharks beat the Iowa Barnstormers 60-48. receptions, 82 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Sammy Edwards, one rushing attempt for -1 yards, and then one reception for -1 yards, and two kick returns for 51 yards and a return touchdown. Wide receiver Jaden Stoshak, two receptions, 25 yards, and two touchdowns. Best defensive performance for the Sharks, Jaden Stoshak. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Isaiah Major, 3 tackles and 6 assists. For the Barnstormers, Clifton McDowell, quarterback, 50-22, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 rushing attempts for 65 yards for 4 rushing touchdowns. Running back David Elder, 8 attempts for 33 yards and a touchdown, 4 receptions for 30 yards. Wide receiver Donald McKinney, 4 receptions, 58 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver DeMonte Martin, 2 receptions, 20 yards and a touchdown. Best defensive performance, Jazar Merrick's 2 tackles and an interception. Next game, it was a close one, but this is yet another game where on the website the glitch happens for at least one game a week that it doesn't show the stats and it's just in a freeze. Here, it's still saying as I speak right now, still like few seconds at the end of the fourth quarter, so no stats were given, and but close game, but the Tulsa Oilers needed a more, especially after the loss they had the week prior. Beat the San Antonio Gunslingers 39-23. All right. And then next game, you had the San Diego Strike Force beat the Northern Arizona Wranglers. Northern Arizona, like they had good momentum, but if they just had some momentum in the first quarter, they got shut out, and then they started to come back, started to make at least some momentum in the second half, but it just wasn't enough. And San Diego Strike Force beats the Northern Arizona Wranglers 67-35. It's just that's how to get going. You need to have momentum from the start. You can't just stop. It's not have anything, then just start going up. But especially with San Diego Strike Force's defense, you just can't do that. Northern Arizona quarterback Anthony Garrett, 14-30, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 rushing attempts for 9 yards, and a touchdown from rushing. Then and 2 touchdowns. Sorry again. Uh, Then wide receiver Kobe Smith, 2 receptions, 29 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, Carrion Page, 2 tackles, 5 assists, one interception and also returned that for a touchdown. San Diego Strike Force, Nate Davis, 13-17, 166 yards, 5 touchdowns and an interception. Running back Terrell Green Jr., 13 attempts, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Other running back Corral Kelly, 8 attempts, 22 yards, a touchdown, and then also threw a 6-yard pass. Wide receiver Dallas Daniels, 7 receptions, 98 yards, 4 touchdowns. Wide receiver Jalen Samples, 6 receptions, 59 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, Herman Smith, 4 tackles, was the best for the strike force. Interesting. Like, they need to do better on the defensive stats because it just seems like whoever has the most tackles is on the top, and I have to look at the other stats, which one makes more sense. They need to do better with that. Then you had the consolation game for the first IFL Cup where they had 4 teams do a tournament style at I forgot what mall it is because strangely my mind a little bit under the weather here this evening, but I digress. And I am not surprised by the outcome because I predicted this. The Orlando Pirates, after getting smacked early, beat the probably now is the one of the worser teams, even though it's their first year, the New Mexico Chupacabras, 41-11, and yeah, they only scored 3 in the second quarter and 8 in the third, and got shut out in the first and fourth. Not good, not good. for negative 20 yards. Sorry again. Uh, then their other quarterback, Donovan Porter, 5 through 13, 39 yards, 2 attempts, negative 2 yards, and a touchdown. Running backs like James White, 13 attempts, 42 yards, 2 receptions, 6 yards. Wide receiver Isaiah Crocker, 7 receptions for 53 yards. On the defensive side, Cam Brish, 3 tackles, 2 assists, and an interception. For the defensive for the New Mexico Chupacabras. For the Orlando Pirates, quarterback Paxton DeLaurent, 11 through 19, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns, interception, 1 attempt for 1 yard. Then their backup got in, James Blackman, 4 for 4, 29 yards, a touchdown, 3 attempts for 14 yards. Running back Jakari Douglas, 6 attempts, 14 yards rushing, and a touchdown. 3 receptions, 25 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Wide receiver Naquan Murray, 7 receptions, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then also 1 rushing attempt for a yard and a rushing TD. Wide receiver T.O. Redding, 1 reception, 7 yards and a touchdown. And best defensive performer Hector Johnson, 3 tackles, 2 assists, and a sack. Now, hold on. Great. Get this off my computer. For the IFL Cup, which is the Arizona Rattlers and Vegas Nighthawks, which I do expect to be a uh, uh, quarterback. The Another team that played 2 quarterbacks. Quarterback Drew Powell, 8 through 16, 96 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 11 rushing attempts for 19 yards and a rushing TD. Max Mailer, 2 for 4, 6 yards, 2 attempts, 6 yards, and a rushing TD. I think Max Mailer either got injured or pulled. I can't recall. Running back Ron Brown Jr., 2 attempts for 27 yards and 2 TDs. Wide receiver Arlen Bruce, the 4 reception, 59 yards, and a touchdown. On the best defensive performer, Carson Taylor, 5 tackles, 2 assists, a sack, interception, and running that for a touchdown. Nighthawks quarterback Jaden Delora, 7 to 16, 98 yards, a touchdown, 9 rushing attempts, 7 yards for a touchdown. Running back Josh Thomas, 12 attempts, 59 yards, a touchdown, 1 reception, 23 yards, 5 returns for 23 yards, and 1 reception of 23 yards, then 5 returns for 80 yards. Wide receiver Deshaun Stoudemire, 4 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. And wide receiver Quentin Randolph, 2 receptions, 22 yards, 2 touchdowns, the best defensive performer. Joe Fauna, 3 tackles, 1 assist, and an interception. Oh, excuse me. Right now, for the standings on the eastern side, you have Ira Barnstormers 1-7. I would consider them eliminated. Total played are 2-5. They have a chance, but it's going to be a tough one. Quad City, 9 games played, they're 3-6. 50-50. Fisher Freight, 9 games, 5-4. They have a chance. Orlando Pirates, 8 games, 5-3. Definitely have a chance. Jacksonville Sharks, 8 games, 7-1. They'll be in. And then the Green Bay Blizzard playing 9 games at 8-1. They're definitely in. Western, bottom, the Northern Arizona Wranglers and New Mexico Chupacabras. They're both 1-7. I find them that pretty difficult. Tuscan Sugar Skulls 2-6. They're improved, but they're not doing that well. San Antonio Gunslingers 7 games played at 3-4. Possible. Arizona Rattlers 9 games, 6-3. They're in. San Diego Strike Force 8 games played at 6-2. They're in. And then the defending champions with 8 games played at 7-1. They're definitely going to be in the playoffs. So they're still, like I said, they're about a little bit over half. So pretty soon they're going to show some playoff or predictions or stuff there here soon. So it will be interesting to say the least. And let me get the confirmation of those teams. Yeah, Austin, Texas, Athens, Georgia, then unconfirmed so far with the rumor with the Bay Area Panthers coming back in San Jose, though they could, honestly, they could wait for 2028 for that one. Well, that's their decision. So hold on here. All right, got that going. All right, there's something to put there. Since they didn't have any games, but here are the standings so far for the AAL. For Mississippi Wolfpack at 2-3, third Jersey Bearcats at 3-2, two the Wheeling Miners at 3-1, then one the Columbus Lions 5-0, currently undefeated at this moment. So that's it for on the American League since they all had a bye this week. Now getting to the AF1, you first have there was there was only about 4 games for the AFL, and also too with the AFL, they have been getting late on their stats. Two of the games didn't actually show up their stats until Monday, which was kind of odd, and those games were played on Saturday. Uh, who knows here? So, first game, you have the Nashville Cats traveling to Minnesota Monsters, and they did not treat the home team kind. The Minnesota Monsters did score in each quarter, but only in single digits. Nashville Cat, yeah, here we go. 18-8 first quarter, 19-6, 8-6, and 13-7, beating the Minnesota Monsters 58-28. It just wasn't their day. Nashville quarterback Tyler Coca, 23-40, 243 yards, 4 touchdowns, and interception. Running back / linebacker Desmond Maxwell, 3 attempts, 3 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Steven Peterson, 2 receptions, 16 yards, 1 attempt, 1 rushing attempt for a yard, and a rushing TD. Wide receiver Kendall Williams, 8 receptions, 80 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Malik Honeycutt, 9 receptions, 104 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, defensive back Amari Alexander, 4 tackles and an interception. Minnesota quarterback Javante Johnson, 6 for 15, 49 yards, and a touchdown. And for, hold on. Yeah, defensive side, defense back Amari Alexander, 4 tackles and intercepted for the Nashville Cats. Minnesota Monsters, Javante Jordan Johnson, the quarterback, 6 through 15, 49 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. 3 rushing attempts for 4 yards and a touchdown. Quarterback Tyree Stark, 6 through 12, 40 yards, a touchdown, 4 rushing attempt for 32 yards. Running back Shannon Brooks, 99 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Tyron Laughing House, it's very interesting name. 5 receptions, 21 yards, and 2 TDs. Then defensive side, defensive back Cote Shorter, 6 tackles and an interception. Baymont Renegades and the Washington Wolfpack. This game was very interesting because Washington Wolfpack he had the edge and then somehow let it go and had the Beaumont Renegades come back to win this game. Though it's a loss for Washington, let me be clear. They are playing a heck of a lot better. They're not the worst team. Actually, they're not even the worst team in arena ball ever now, because right now that goes to the New Mexico Chupacabras. So it's good. I'm happy for them. They should have won this game. They just let it go way too soon. They shouldn't have done that, but I digress. I am at least glad that they are doing a heck of a lot better. Uh, and like I said, Baylor Gates beat the Washington Wolfpack 42-35 in a comeback fashion. Baymont quarterback Andrew McBride, 21-38, 204 yards, 5 TDs, 3 interceptions, 1 rushing attempt for 6 yards. Wide receiver Vincent Wilkerson II, 6 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown. 1 rushing attempt for 2 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Zuri Davis, 8 receptions, 79 yards, and 4 TDs. Defensive side, defensive line, John Griggs, 4 tackles and 3 sacks. On the Washington side, Eric Phoenix, very good. That's a very good name for a quarterback, Phoenix Rising for the Ashes, because that's basically what he has done for this team this year. 20 for 43, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Fullback Undra Hendricks, 2 attempts, 2 yards, and a touchdown. 1 reception for 24 yards. Wide receiver Deshaun Williams, 6 receptions, 124 yards, and 3 TDs. Wide receiver Kier Greer, 5 receptions, 56 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, defensive back Eugene Ford, 6 tackles and an interception. Here, like, you have the new team, Michigan Arsenal, which still has a losing record, but don't play like it. And they beat the Oregon Lightning 57-33. And like I say, the Oregon Lightning, they had momentum, but they're one of the teams that are quickly falling really quick. Uh, and Malik Henry basically got the no. He almost had the player of the week in Arena Ball, but that will change here in the next game, and you will see why here. Quarterback Malik Henry, 16-35, 268 yards, 5 TDs, and an interception. Wide receiver Javante Long, 4 receptions, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Javari Flowers, 4 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Daniel Williams III, 4 receptions, 35 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Jarvis Grissom, 6 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Vance Bennett, 1 reception, 4 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, linebacker Michael White, 2 tackles and 2 sacks. And then for Oregon, Dalton Cole, 9-31, 9 for 31, 99 yards, 3 TDs, 3 interceptions, 7-10 for 44 yards for 1 TD. Wide receiver, well, this is where the stats get found. One receiving touchdown was offensive line Darius Tover for 103 yards a touchdown. Didn't really show where the other touchdowns went in the stats. And best defensive performer, defensive lineman Keanu Marloto, 3 tackles. Final game, you had the Kentucky Barrels beat the Oceanside Bombers, and it was and the Kentucky Barrels quarterback Darrell Overstreet Jr. was the player of the week here at Arena Ball with these stats here. 19-32, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers, 4 rushes in for 22 yards, and 4 rushing TDs. 9 total touchdowns. Wow. And the Kentucky Barrels that's probably the best expansion team out of all arena football right now. Wide receiver Dazon Epps, 8 receptions, 77 yards, and 2 TDs. Wide receiver Darius Prince, 6 receptions, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Shiloh Flanagan, 5 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Best defensive performer, defensive back Joel Powell, 3 tackles and 3 interceptions. Oceanside Bombers quarterback Rudy Johnson, 13-32, 175 yards, 3 TDs, 4 receptions, 4 attempts for 10 yards. Running back Lonnie Bickham, 1 reception, 3 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Javon Tucker, 6 receptions, 85 yards, and 2 TDs. Wide receiver J. Brooks, 2 receptions, 23 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver Vincent Stranger Jr., 5 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Defensive side linebacker Jordan Washington, 7 tackles. On the Arena League preseason, there were only 2 preseason games, and strangely, they didn't put the preseason games on streaming, which was odd. I wanted to see, but you'll be able to see them this week, but they still should have done that. The Iowa in their new stadium in the University of Northern Iowa's football field stadium beat the Tundra 57-0, and then the Nebraska Steeds beat the MPLS Warhawks 78-0. Then, with the National League, I have to address this because if no one knows about the announcement, they have moved the European teams to the U.S., and they also said there's going to be a restructuring of combining some of the teams, and they will all be teams within the United States in the future. So the whole Europe thing, I guess no one did proper research and the hurdles there. So basically, the International Arena League needs to, I don't know, change their name now because you can't really call yourself the International Arena League because you're only playing teams within the United States. I digress here. The 2 games here, you had the Cincinnati Slingers beat the Pennsylvania Benjamins 47-38. And then no score, but the grade 8s did beat the Glasgow Tartans. Now we get to this weekend's games here and picking them and all that here. National Arena League, you got 4 games for the last game of regular season play before they go to playoffs. You have the Omaha Beep versus Louisiana Review on Saturday at 7:05 Eastern Time. Yeah, the Beep's going to win there, and they're going to be in the playoffs. Salina Liberty versus the Carlisle Spartans at 6 o'clock. I have Liberty beating them, but this is more for playoff seeding here, so that's all they have to go. Then you have the Southwest Kansas Storm facing the Sioux City Bandits. I could actually see Southwest Storm resting some players. You already got home field advantage and clinched it. There's no need. You could just rest some players. So they might be doing that. That'll be at 7:10. Then you have the Amarillo Warbird versus the Pablo Punishers at 6:30 Mountain Time. Pablo Punishers are going to get that there. The IFL going to have a Friday game with the San Antonio Gunslingers at Green Bay at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on the Overnight app. Uh, Blizzard. Saturday games: Iowa Barnstormers versus Tulsa Oilers at 6 o'clock EDT on the Overnight Network. Tulsa Fisher Freight versus Jacksonville Sharks at 7 o'clock on Yahoo. That's a tough one. That's going to be a good one. It's going to be close, but I'm going to have Jacksonville just edge out there. North Arizona versus Arizona, 8 o'clock on Overnight. That's going to be a good game to watch because those games are usually close, but I have Arizona just beating that one. Hold on. Then you have the Orlando Pirates versus Tuscan Sugar Skulls at 9 o'clock Eastern overnight. Or I'm going to have Orlando winning that one. Sunday games: San Diego Strike versus New Mexico Chupacabras at 4 o'clock on Yahoo. San Diego. Then the Quad City Steamwheelers versus defending champs Vegas Nighthawks at 7:30 on overnight. I'm going to have the defending champs Vegas Nighthawks. AF1, you have the Kentucky Barrels versus Minnesota Monsters at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Kentucky Barrels. Oceanside Barn versus the Albany Firebirds at 7 o'clock Eastern. Albany. And then the Washington Wolfpack versus the Oregon Lightning, this regional rivalry. I'm going to have the Washington Wolfpack beat the Oregon Lightning. AAL play, you have the Jersey Bearcats going to Wheeling. I'm going to have Wheeling. Then the Columbus Lions going to Mississippi. I'm going to have Columbus still be undefeated against the Mississippi Wolfpack. Now for the games for the Arena League here. First game, you have 2 games on Friday and 2 games on Saturday. Unfortunately, with this league, they play their games at the exact same time, no matter what. But at least this time, there's 2 at a time, because sometimes they even play all games at once, and it's hard to stream them sometimes. So Arizona Diamonds versus the Ozark Lunkers. I'm going to go with Ozark. The Memphis Hound Dogs versus the St. Joe Goats. Memphis on that one. Then, of course, Saturday's game, you got the Eau Claire Axemen going to Iowa. I'm going with the Woo. Then you have the Terry Bowden Jr. Monroe Greenheads versus the Nebraska Siege with the 2 expansion ones. I have more faith with Bowden. I'm going with the Monroe Greenheads. Then the International Arena League, their 2 games. Saturday, Arizona Juggernauts versus the Pennsylvania Benjamins at 6:30 Eastern Time. Pennsylvania. Then Sunday they got a Stuttgart Stallion versus Las Vegas Rockets at 2:30. It's either M or EDT on Sunday. I'm gonna go. Why not the Stuttgart Stallions on that one? And that'll be all the games this weekend. And as I said, pretty soon, because we got one league going to start ending their season soon, one just basically beginning, and then the AAL here in a few weeks going to have their playoffs. Then it's going to start doing a falling effect because then pretty soon the Arena Football 1, the Arena League, and so far it looks, well, the Arena League and the IFL Championship, it's kind of close usually. That has been the last few years, but it'll be close, but it'll be fun entertainment, and the Arena football season will end here pretty much from end July to beginning of August. Like, I thought this season was going to be slow, and it's going by fast real quickly. So thank you for joining me this evening on Arena Frontier here on Gateway Sports. Be sure to join us next week for another episode. Thinking about having a guest, not too sure, but I will let anyone know here, just make sure to watch the news on Gateway Sports Facebook and X page, and also Arena Frontiers Facebook and X page as well. Thank you for joining me, and see you all next week.